Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. And this is somewhat a late deck tech because it was done tournament prior for the last week. That's during the APAC League held at the race place. And I'm trying to do, guys, the deck that I played for that event and tournament, which is quite the tired to level, as I may say. But I'm still going to be a fan back when I was able to complete this deck right after our card pool has decided to quit the standard format. Even so, still proud that I was able to get a good finish from that event with good matchups, and the deck has somewhat performed well, as somewhat beyond my expectation in terms of the luck factor. Of course, the strategy and how the deck would deliver its mana curve. So anyway, today's deck is a mono black aggro. We can say this is more of a mid-range deck because we're still going in the late game with the books. But with the creature choices here, that's about 20 or 22. So we have a starting curve here with 4 copies of Evil Sleeper. A good curve in the first drop, not really good because of the mana requirement early on, but in the late game can be a very good Cardo effect, and also a good threat because of it gets bigger, it gets you Cardos, and has also a depth touch in it. So for copies of this, we make sure that early on can have some beatdowns going on against mid-range and control decks. This is then followed up by our 2 drops in the form of Tenacious Underdog, 3 copies, and a single copy of Vicious Shadow. So Underdog will just really go early on beatdown, but also can be used for the Blitz ability in the late game, prior that it will not be removed by other effects such as that of opponent's Trespassers. And Mr. Shadow is not only a good 2-drop, and I say it has also an effect that gets your opponent's creature exiled, and even the die effect would not trigger, and also had a good pump ability, which is very relevant if you need some extra mana dump in the late game for a good power and toughness pump, and also would deal extra damage. So a good variance with 3-1, 3 copies of this and 1 copies of this. Now for our 3 drops, we have some sort of a variance here. We have playset of Trespasser. I would not consider it early on having a 4 copies, but with respect for the meta game, I would expect that there's still graveyard shenanigans, mostly against some of the returning abilities or effects that goes to benefit the graveyard. You would also have Trespasser to prevent them from doing so, and also have some extra damage because of 1 life for your opponent. If ever you exile a creature, and you would have your opponents lose life, and you will gain 1 life. And also becomes a Nightbound, Daybound ability, which becomes bigger with the 4/4, and also a way to discard a card as is cost for its sword ability. So with the efficient 3-drop, can also goes with a good 3/3 body, exiles cards from graveyards, and works well with the Nightbound ability trigger. Now for another 3-drop here, we have Geeks, Yogmak Praetor. This is not really a good Cardo, but fortunately it's very vulnerable now to cards like Abrade. But the purpose here is that you would really curve out well and have an open mana. For example, an instance wherein your opponents would tap out a creature, you would skill off their blockers, play Geeks, and swing for those damage. Then those damage would then be converted by paying extra life to have yourself draw a card. So that's how you would maneuver out against opponents when you would have open blockers. So open attacks, so that your Geeks would really benefit from the combat damage and gaining cards, extra cards, and card draws effects. And also the bonus here, if there are situations where you would be able to use this one, then they would have very good advantage against mid-range decks, because you would convert them, their exile top X cards. Most of them would really have some heavy hitter cards in their deck, so you can just play them out for free with the Geeks Praetor's ability. Just make sure you would play this one on your turn, because the restrictions of the cards would still apply, such as sorceries, playing lands, etc. That's about how you would work. And some pseudo 3rd drop here in the deck is in the form of Flesh Gorger. You can play this one for its prototype cost. This prototype cost becomes a 3/3 for 3 with Menace lifelink and a ward, pay life equal to its power. But for the late game, if ever you get to draw this one, you can pay for 7. We'll have this one as a 7/5 main is lifelink, and also good source for damage. It can be really hard to block and spot removal with because of the life loss effect, which is very beneficial to us as we go with our main goal to just have your opponent's life total goes to 0. Now for the 4 drops, I had several choices here. Of course, we have Shouldered Apocalypse as our main damage source and also a good threat in the 4 drop. But we have some new options here with the Pariksha 1. We had given us some tools here with Pariksha Obliterator and Archfiend of the Dross. So Archfiend of the Dross is quite new here, but you have this ability which is sort of a very risky drawback because of the oil counters. As once you be able to not remove the oil counters on it, you will lose the game. But this ability goes with the benefit that you will have a 6/6 or 4 flyer. Fire means you would invade most of the blockers, and you have an effect that whenever a creature opponent control dies, its control loses 2 life. So if you combo well with your spot removals, such as this one and Grasp, you will be able to go do the extra damage, and also swinging for 6 in the air is very much a good clock to just kill out your opponents already. I think you would still have this deck soon in some of the black-red, maybe a black-red aggro version, OL version of this deck in the coming formats. We'll see about how they will develop. But I think I would also have another deck list for this. And also for one of copy of Obliterator, this is good for mono red again, since the only ways to deal with this card is to deal combat damage or damage effects. So that's how your 4 drop would look like. We have a good clock with Shouldered, also a good flyer effect that deals lose 2 life whenever an opponent creature dies. Now for our 5 drops in terms of the creature of the non-creatures, not only with the spot removals here, but also our sort of a card advantage in the late game. So for our copies, Invoke Despair is a 5 drop here. It's basically covering out well. For example, you curve out with the Shouldered into Invoke or Archfiend into Invoke. That's very good also. So no questions asked about this card. It's very much a good card advantage, especially that if opponents would have any more creatures to or permanents to sacrifice, you will have them lose 2 life and you will draw a card. And in addition to that, we have also one of each copies of Gis's Command and Pariksha Arena. So Arena is basically an old school reprint. Gets you cards with your upkeep and you lost 2 life. But with Gis's Command, you have several options here. You can have your creature +2 counters against lifelink, and destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Also good against aggro or gumming up tokens. Return up to 2 creature cards from your game in your hand. You can return again Gorger to cast for its hard casting for 7. And each opponent sacrifices a creature with highest power. So also very good against good threats. For example, some auras or any high powered threat against your opponent that would be sacrificed without them targeting it. So they would be forced to sacrifice it. And for another good source of card advantage is Recurrent Blockbuster, which is also a good attacker by itself because it can be able to be crewed very well by most of your cards in the deck. There's Underdog, Geeks, Trespasser, and the rest of the 4 drops can easily crew this card to attack for extra damage if needed, if they're open setup or open turns wherein you can attack with the Blockbuster. In the late game, of course, card draws and going to go with the pilot in the 4/4 would be really beneficial. Now for your lands, that's 24 lands in total, so we have a bunch of swamps here, and the non-basic are just only a copy of Takenuma and 2 Vicious Foundry as an additional creature to attack for your turn. Of course, Takenuma is a channel land to return a creature or a planeswalker. Now for your setup with the sideboard. The sideboard is quite interesting here in my May because of my several choices for Mad Obs. I'm really a fan of 1-of cards, especially in the sideboard. So we have some several cards here. That's its main purpose. First off is Rotten Union. Can exile Atraxa or any Atraxa effect. For example, they would have to target their Atraxa with a recursion spell. You can just exile and response them. And as a bonus, you also create a 2/2 black zombie creature with decay as an added attacker on your board. So Pitting Needle would go with the relevant planeswalkers and also some other activations such as that of the Wandering Emperor. Other planeswalkers that may be hindrance to us in our matchups. A copy of Balance Source against Mono Blue and also for other graveyard shenanigans. Of course, Duress, I've considered Duress to be 4 obs because very relevant also against mid-range and control decks. Battle Peril against humans or soldiers decks. I mean, Ashnod's Harvester, this would also go well with those with the recursion decks. For example, Atraxa decks also that has some Grixis Atraxa deck builds. You can just exile mostly of their cards in the deck, and also having a threat as a 3/1 threat and a 2-drop with also with an Earth ability. Another one of here is Nightclubber. It also goes to work with some annoying early aggro from Soldier's deck. Parasitic Grass also as a support card. Can also be used against Mono Red because of the life gain. We have a copy of Soldier's Edicts and Edict Effect with conditional that can bypass any token or non-token card or Planeswalker. And 2 copies of Lena of the Veil. As an added support, of course, for discard effects and sacrifice effects against mid-range, aggro, and even in control matchups. So that's basically it for the deck. I think just a quick recap of my matchups. It was first against you, Blue-White Soldiers. I was able to dominate the first 2 games for 2-0 ability result. And I was able to face against a teammate for Mono Blue, and it's decided that the win will be given to me. So it was 2-0 now. At the third game, I was faced against Red-Green Werewolves, and I was also able to dominate that without the help of a Shoulder and Archfiend of the Dross. And another 2-0 record. Was able to draw then for the 4th and 5th round up until going to the top 8, wherein we just divided the loots after the tournament, which it was quite late already, so the matchups will not really go to pursue as the prices is not really that much of the difference between the first and the top 4 and the rest of the guys. So I guess that's really it. I'm still going to play this one, I think, for the coming weekend standard tournament, and maybe some slight adjustments in the main deck, but overall I think would still go to benefit with this one, Obliterator and Arfian as my main game winner in most of the matchups during that APAC League tournament. So I guess that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more upcoming deck tech. We also have some virtual on desk deck tech for mother machines, so stay tuned for that one. So that's basically it. Thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.